Right on this bucket truck is kind of unique. One of the things we found on it. This has the fast idle thing. Also, you know, look at this knob here. It had the push button like the Bug for the wipers, because remember this had a washer, which I don't think was, I think it was optional. This year it was something special order or something, because I've never seen a knob like that on a bus. They've always been just a regular hard knob, because they had the squeeze bottle right here. If you guys know about that, this one had the little push button like a Bug. But this right here, what this is, and it actually works. What's funny is this stuff is actually in really good shape. We'll show you underneath. What this is this is an idle control. So basically you could pull this back and you could set the idle higher for running the lift or whatever they were doing with it. I'm sure it was just to run the pump or whatever, but you could crank the idle up. Let's look underneath. The throttle linkage is actually in amazing condition on this. So I was telling Chris one time, man, I sure wouldn't mind having a throttle control on my van to be able to, my regular bus, so that I could just kind of pull it out and then just drive, you know, like a illegal cruise control. And this is probably how it could be done if somebody wanted to do that. You know, there's the little bracket right here, and they weld it to this bracket right here. If you can see that one. That one's stationary, and this is all stationary. And then they put like a lawnmower type pull throttle control on here, and they put like a little, if you can see on the end of the cable, they had like two little set screws, and it was like a little stop for it, so that when so that when you're driving, and then it has like this little sliding bracket. So when you're driving, you know, without the throttle control on, it just kind of slides up and down on there. And it's actually, you look at how amazing the condition is of all this stuff. Still has the little boot right here hanging. And so when you pull the throttle, it opens it up to wherever you want it to be. But it doesn't interfere with the linkage at all. So it's kind of neat. Thought that was really cool that you guys would enjoy that little part there. There's a lot of neat stuff like that coming. We'll talk to you guys in the next portion there. I did that with a plasma cutter. I wasn't going to show that on camera in case I know it would jinx me. That one too. All right, so this is where we're at right now, working on some of this stuff here. Some people that might be new to the channel might wonder, why did I cut out 2 taillights? It's because the original taillights are here, and they put a blank in here. They put the taillight out further because this thing is an SO10, has this apparatus that goes back on it. And that's why, you know, we're going through this extensive restoration to bring this thing back, because it's pretty rare as far as those go. The oldest one we know of in existence. There might have been another 62 out there. I've heard of one. It got restored, and it was done improperly. They didn't even put these taillights in it. They didn't put the double taillights in it. So it's, you know, they just kind of, and I don't think they even painted it the right colors and all that stuff. So this is going to be pretty unique to see. There's only one other one that's ever been restored that I've heard of. They've just, most of them are just original and worn out and old and stuff. So, if you notice, we recessed we got these countersunk there so that the hinges can go on. And of course, I'm making that panel versus buying it. I'm trying to keep the budgets from getting crazy. So it's not hard to make that, really. I'm going to cut the tops open and then put the steel plate inside after I drill the holes for the hinges. And then I'm not going to put it on yet, but I'm just kind of getting some of that stuff done now, while we're kind of waiting for the front suspension. Yeah, Chris has been working on this pile. Everything in the whole front suspension was like pretty much amazingly brand new. Low miles, obviously. These are actually VW stamped drums, and they've never been turned. So you don't see that very often. And these are 1962 VW stamped, never been turned. They've been beaten off, looks like. Somebody beat the heck out of them at some point. But they've never been turned. So, and all the bearings and even the tie rod ends are really tight. Even the drag link was tight, which is very rare. So all we're going to do is put it back together. The beam itself was in, again, in amazing condition. There was really nearly no rust after we got done cleaning it. You know, it's just amazing with the rest of this thing, how rusty it is. In the front end, we don't have too much to do up here. Just before we put the beam in, we got one little pinhole rust right here. So we'll probably just drill that out and see where it gets. It's just kind of, there was some dirt behind here and it was just kind of rusted out there. So we'll fix that up. And then the all underneath here, it was in really amazing condition up here too. Like the part that was underneath the pan was pretty good, but look at how bad the front was. You know, the very front of it's just totally gone. I think this one here, I'm probably going to have to get the entire panel and just replace it all, because I don't think there's one good piece on this. And these things here are pretty thin. You know, I don't know. I'll just take it off and we'll take a look at it when I get there. I'll take off the whole nose and then just take a look at what's going on up there. And some people were wondering if that's going to be strong enough, what we did to repair up here. Remember, this is welded all the way along here and lapped on that edge. And then it's all the way along here, lapped on this edge, and then butted right here. So that is not going anywhere. Same thing on this side, sandwiched, lapped on the top. So there's 2 thicknesses of metal, butted here, or actually lapped on this side, and lapped going up that way, and butted right here at the end. So that frame is solid as ever. There's no way that thing's going out. And this part and this part are all really thick. That's extra thick steel, and it's in really good shape. So some people were thinking maybe I should have just replaced all the way up. There really was no need to do that. And to try and do that and make sure that you get everything right, this is all part of the structure. These are thick steel. this part's thick steel. And if you start separating up here, it's going to be hard to get everything back in the right place. It's much more difficult to do that than it is to actually repair what we did. We do have another rust hole here, small one here. We'll take care of that before we put it in, probably put the beam in. That might be a lot easier to do now. The entire cab is like one unit. And if you start unwelding everything, it's really hard to separate things in the front on these. It's easier just to cut it right here and work with a new cab. Trying to separate these parts are just very integral. Again, this engine lid here was in pretty good shape. Not too bad for what it was. Just had a couple of things that were bad on it. It looks like I can probably take that off and clean it. All the bearings, link pins were literally very close to like brand new. Really nothing wrong with any of this stuff here. So again, we're just going to clean it up, put it back together, grease everything. If you're wondering, the shoes, these came off my other 62, and I'm just going to run them again on this. We just cleaned them up real quick. Once you stop a couple times on those, they'll be fine. I just bought these, are never even got worn hardly. I changed the front end to sit disc brakes. The thing that was an issue with it is if you get your wheel cylinders, a lot of times you get these garbage ones, and the machine work on them where the adjusters are so bad that you can't even adjust the brakes. That was what was wrong with those that I took apart. So the ones that were on this are probably rebuildable German, you know, but I got these. I could have just got kits, I guess, but I just got these cheap ones, and these ones aren't too bad. The adjusters fit in them, so not worried about that actually. So it'll be, at least to be driving. We do have a master cylinder too. I actually had this brand new master just sitting there. I think it just had a torn boot on it. Just put a little glue on there and fix that up. And I got that with a kit or something. I forget what it was. I ended up with an extra master at some point. So again, on this thing, I'm not going to put the disc brakes on it yet. I'm just going to get it working. And, you know, if I end up driving it for any amount of time, you know what I'll end up doing, right? I will keep it drum in the front. Boy, it stops so much better with the disc brakes. But I just want to make it work first, and then we'll see what we can do from there. Well, honestly, I don't know how anybody could have painted it this badly the last time. You look at this. I mean, I think that is Tex coat, stucco, roller. Anybody got any idea? Yeah, there's lint all over in it too, so it might have been a roller. I'm gonna guess roller, but could have been any other things. Pretty bad. All right, so what's coming up next is we're gonna get that beam put back in place. Before I do that, I've got to cut open this little patch. This one is a pain in the butt right here. There's like, I've got, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 different layers of metal. So that's got to be done, be easier to do with the beam out. And so you see, I'll show you this side. See, I got to cut it back right here with the plasma cutter, and then I have to put that piece in first, and then I have to make this piece here. It kind of goes up into that one. So we can get you guys up a little closer, up into the corner here. And it's just a compounded mess, so it's kind of a tough hole. And then there's also a problem here with this, the top of the floor. So I'll probably just cut that out at the same time and do the replacement of that. If you can see that right there. Yeah, there's some holes along there. Then we're gonna do the brakes in the back. Finish all that up, get the lines ran for the throttle cable, and all the brake stuff back here all done while I'm playing around with that up in the front. Got our beam sitting here ready to go back in. Still got my little mock-up of the back half. Well, yeah, I'll show you this here. So I got those welded up there. You can see the hinges gonna fit in those little things there. I just degreased this whole deck lid. Backside of here, used the OSPO, poured it inside of all this area to make sure that all this is all coated. Really, there wasn't much rust on this. It's pretty wild. One spot right there, and it wasn't even going all the way through. So I'll use the OSPO because it's very, the reason I got that stuff because it's real thin, and you can really easily pour it all around inside there to get all in the cavities, make sure the rust is all dead. And before too long, I have to have this thing ready, so I'm going to work on this. Got to cut away all this stuff here. I've got to either remove and install this piece on the other one, or make one, I guess. Either way, and I might be able to remove it. It's really not that bad a condition. It doesn't look too bad. I don't know, I'll clean it up and see. Maybe it is worse than it looks. But then I got to start patching up all these holes. I've got to get all this stuff all ready because this piece has to go in place, and then the corners can go on, and just kind of mock it all up and make sure that I put these pieces on. That's when I'll know how much work I've got to do. If these don't fit, it'll be a little bit more work. I'll have to try and figure out why, and then just start playing with stuff. Got to cut off all this dead metal here, and I'm keeping that one in place because we're going to use that to measure off of. Cut off some of the dead metal off that. It's a lot of little pieces to cut off here, so got to get all this all cleaned up and ready, and then, like I said, our new corners, or our new used corners, are going to go on there in that area. So anyway, that's coming up here. I'll talk to you guys in the next video, and we'll be checking this thing out, getting along forward. It is coming along pretty good. It just that we're going to get into the stuff we're getting into now is kind of, I think, more slow going. When I stack the metal in the back, I think that's actually going to be some of the easiest part. It's all this repair little stuff on the cab, the roof stuff, and all that's going to soak up a lot of time. I'm hoping I'm banking on that we're going to get some doors here pretty soon. I don't know when, but I don't know when they're coming in. We're kind of figuring that out right now. No more next week. So I'll talk to you next portion, next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.